Welcome to Wonderful Wednesday. I'm with Reverend Linda Mays, who is a local chaplain. And our theme this month at the UUC is talking about desolation and consolation, which, is pretty timely in the midst of this pandemic. So I just wanted to have a conversation with you about um, what are some of the things that motivated you to go into a caring profession, and what sort of tips do you give to people that you work with, and for yourself to get through these hard times?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me, and it's great to be together. I think in times that are hard, that is one of the things that has mattered to me most, is finding ways to be together. And we all certainly have to be very creative with that these days. But I guess I'm not 25 anymore. And so I had been in ministry in earlier decade, my initial career start in the first decade or so. And then I transitioned into higher education and in some religious institutions and some that were not. And it was also, my role was also a come alongside people type of role. And I guess that's a theme in my life of, in different contexts, in different ways, I've been a person that comes alongside and to be with others at a point of need, even if the needs are different. And so I was making a transition out of higher education. And I took a period of time to think through for myself what the next chapter is. And in the meantime, I had been providing care for my mom in the last few years of her life. And it bubbled up in me that chaplaincy was maybe a good fit for this season of life. And so that's part of the why I work in a hospital context here, in a local hospital. And there's unfortunately no magic answers. And so whether it's being with colleagues, being with ourselves, or being with a patient, or being with families, it's really, it's about being with. And that word with has become one of the most important words. I have come to really value that word as not simply a preposition that we just toss out because it fits grammatically, But the being with during hard times is, to me, what really matters. And so, because desolation, that word, desolation, that's a deep suffering of the heart. All kinds of things happen in life, whether it's health concerns or other situations in a person's life, in family, whether it's work or what our country's going through. But it's a vulnerable place of the heart that is a movement in our heart and I think a desolation is a sacred place. The image that comes to me of a place of suffering is like a indigenous person's or culture's burial ground. That place where they have placed their loved ones into the earth is sacred ground and worthy of respect and care, tenderness. anything harsh that would be brought into that would be so hurtful. And to me, that's what desolation is. Desolation, a place of a deep suffering of our hearts, is sacred ground, and a place where we do well to tread lightly.
Handle with care.
What's that?
Handle with care.
Handle with care. And I can't help even but use, like what you did, use our hands. It is a something that is about our be human to human touch and being with. And so um, that's, I guess, calls upon me as, or any of us, if we are one that's called in a moment, whether it's for a moment or for a while, to come alongside of someone who is suffering. It doesn't, it matters, but you know what I mean if I say it doesn't matter what the content of the suffering is. There are so many circumstances that it can be.
Yeah, especially
And
right now.
yeah, and but if that person's heart is hurting, then we that kindness that we can just bring to be with, not trying to fix, but just being present with, is part of what I think my work and all of our work together, really all of our work together, is to be with each other in times of desolation and in the movement from desolation to consolation, to a place of coming to terms with, or peace with, or return to maybe a balance.
What are some of the hardest things about offering care during the pandemic right now? And what are some of maybe the unforeseen gifts, the diamond in the rough?
Yeah, you know, um, there's been a lot of hard things. I'll be honest, and I think all of us, whether we are working in a hospital, whether we are at home, no matter what, it's just hard. It is plain hard. And the folks that we see in the hospital, of course, are those that related to the pandemic. Those who come in COVID positive into the hospital are those who are have had a severe, strong response to the infiltration of the virus into their bodies. And I work on the ICU, the CCU, primarily, but we have COVID patients. All the hospitals have COVID patients on multiple floors,
Yeah.
and some leave the hospital and some do not. And the hardest part, I'd say, is because we've had to restrict the visitors. We do allow, different hospitals make different judgments, and there are exceptions to every rule.
Sure.
But one of the hardest things for us as healthcare providers, as well as families and patients, is the isolation. Some floors in the hospitals, there are no visitors. And in the ICU, we do allow one. But there's not a full families coming. There's not all that connection. And in the very point of the deepest need, when one of the primary mechanisms of healing is that presence and their family and their friends or loved ones, that's just really hard. We certainly all do our work to try to help make those connections, but that's a hard thing. And honestly, I'm tired of death. I'm going to be honest. I'm tired of people dying. And I think we all are. I've lost track of the number of cases in our country. but it's more than anybody would ever want. And so saying goodbye to people and helping families say goodbye in the most difficult circumstances is tough. Um, it's hard when there's no easy answers. And that's the thing about desolation and consolation to me. Sometimes we see these as opposites and polarities, that we're either all in desolation or we're all in consolation. We're all good, doing well. I'm good, I'm doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're all having a tough time.
Mm-hmm.
We tend, even in our language, use these opposites, when in the reality, life, whether in the hospital or in any circumstance, life is the both and even in the midst, and that's why I guess the diamond in the rough, even in the midst of the most sad, grievous circumstance, that's what's so sacred, is there's such a sacredness and a poignancy, and there is a beauty. There's a beauty in tenderness. There's a beauty in the connection that a person nearing death or in just severe illness sometimes can access the deepest part of themselves and the family in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
But there are many, many of those poignant moments that is really in some ways, sometimes full of awe. And there sometimes are no words. It's just, it takes your breath away. The depth of love, the depth of resilience, the resilience of people. I'm telling you, that is something that's a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
Because when we think we're done, I can take no more, I can take this, there's no more, I have nothing left, and people dig deep and deeper and deeper still, and the resilience and the something comes, that their life spirit comes up again to take them wherever they need to go. And so yeah, there's a lot of beauty and poignancy, and grateful for the people around me every day, and for each of us, the people that are around us.
People who are caretakers and who are stretched to that moment, um, uh, need more rest, need more care of themselves. How do you encourage your colleagues and encourage yourself to fill the cup, to allow that resiliency to be supported?
Yeah, it's a really important question. And I myself, and I think my colleagues, it is it's like my primary uh, value value at this time. I have to, for the sake, not just for myself, but for the sake of my work and the that I'm giving, and whether it for me as a caregiver, health professional, or as a parent with kiddos at home. I'm telling you, or the teachers that are
Mm-hmm.
right. Um, I For me, I focus first on the basics and sleep. I'm in bed by 8:30. I mean, 8 o'clock. I do start at 6:30, so I'm up, 4:30,
Right.
5. So I don't shortcut myself ever. And for some, that's possible. Others, their
Yeah.
candles burning. But I also try to access my heart because life, we're living in a time where our hearts are being broken, where our hearts are being asked to stretch, and we are filled sometimes with every emotion in the book at any given time. And so for me, I've actually, I take time to access my heart. So different days it's different. Sometimes I journal, sometimes I draw, sometimes I do some art of a variety of things, some way that I can access something, things that are inside that I can't have words for.
Right.
Not everybody's going to want to do that. Uh, Anytime we can get outside and we can get this body, we can get connected with our body in some way, whether it's outside or inside. Um, we are mind, body, spirit, soul,
Mhm.
energy, whatever you want to call it. We're not just our heads, and we're not just this disconnected body. We have got to address all of them. So um, I I focus on connections with others, connection with my body, connection with my heart, connection with my spirit, and in a variety of ways. And um, that I think that was can serve all of us, even if it's in different particular ways, but giving space for all those parts of, for those main parts of ourselves, I think. It helps me. Otherwise, I can't show up at 6:30 with anything to give, and it helps me. Um, I am a people person. I can't help it. I'm a touchy feely person.
Mhm.
So um, it helps me to take time to remember how loved I am,
Mhm.
how, whether it's specific people, whether it's a universal presence, whether it's an internal sense I'm with myself, whatever it is, but love and our life spirit, that's fuel. That's fuel. Yeah.
Is there anything that you would want to send people off with for, our theme is Wonderful Wednesday, and
Yeah.
it's not always a wonderful Wednesday, it can be tough
Yeah.
times, but trying to find those things that
Yeah.
lift us up.
Yeah. Right. You know, consolation, to me, when I first ever heard that word, I'm like, what? Who uses these words, right?
Right.
Desolation, right? They're just kind of strange. But when I think of consolation, it's a movement of my heart into a place of joy or peace or warmth. Um, and I would encourage all of us, however, whatever makes sense, to remind us that we are not alone, that we are connected with each other, with love, with people, with something greater than ourselves. I don't care what that is. Uh, and to find ways to connect that with ourselves, to draw out that life spirit. Because when I see these people in the hospital going through such dire circumstances, and they pull out this sense of their life spirit, their essence of that has energy and life. So whatever you and all of us can do to find that and connect that and hold on to that, um, we're going to be okay. We are gonna be okay because with each other, with ourselves, and with a sense of connection, we can get through this. Whether it's the pandemic, whether it's our family, whether it's our health, whether it's the challenges of our country, I don't care what it is. We've we've got it in us. We've got what we need, and together with others, we'll get through this.
Well, thank you for reminding us that we're not alone. I think that is a
Yeah,
key a
it's
key to being
key
okay.
to most things. Not alone. Yeah.
Well, thank you, and appreciate you being on Wonderful Wednesday.
Thanks for having me.